Don't lose your way. Your mind, we have to be as one.
Hey, what's going on YouTube? Aura Storm here, coming at you guys with another deck profile today. This is actually an updated Magician deck profile for you guys. I did show you guys a hastily put together list, so I figured I'd show you guys. After doing a little bit of thinking, a little bit of testing, I decided I'd bring you guys a totally new list. I'm also using my brand new microphone, so I'm hoping the audio quality has finally gotten to where it needs to be. So that's one thing I really wanted to improve for you guys. And this is some of my videos aren't that'll be going up after this probably may not have the new mic, but from here on out we're gonna have this new microphone, so hopefully it fixes some of the biggest problems on my channel, which is audio. So I do take your guys' feedback into account for sure. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get to the deck profiles. First off, we have 2 copies of Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. Now, as you guys know, I've always been an advocate of running 3. The card is so good, and it opens up a lot of plays, but I bumped it down to 2 because I felt like I needed room for more cards, because Pendulum Call going to 1, while it did not kill this deck, it definitely took a while. Definitely will require you to make a couple of modifications. I don't play a lot of Perform Pals. I play, of course, you got to play the 1 Skull Crobat Joker. It searches out pretty much almost the entire deck minus the Magispectors, and you still have to play it. I would definitely like to see Konami bump this up to multiples at some point, but we'll see. Next up, we have 1 copy of Form Pal Odd Eyes Light Phoenix. Light Phoenix is this would be Persona Dragon if we had it, but we didn't get it in Dragon's a Legend. We got Mirage Dragon instead. So Light Phoenix is in here. Obviously, this is a TCG legal list, not taking any new cards into account like Amazing Pendulum. So yeah, Light Phoenix is a searchable. There's times where you will need a searchable low scale, and Light Phoenix kind of fills that category. Next up, we have 1 copy of Form Pal Odd Eyes Unicorn. Unicorn is your searchable high scale. Because we only have Dragon Pip in the Magician side of the deck, you kind of have to play at least 1 to 2 of the Odd Eyes searchable scales to make sure you have that consistent 8 scale. So yeah, the 1 Unicorn. I was playing 2 in my previous build, but I just didn't have space for the second one. Then we have 1 Wisdom Eye Magician, probably one of the best cards in the entire Magician archetype. Even with it being at 1, their Oath Dragon, Iris, and this have some really just disgusting interactions. This card's still really good. The 1 Dragon Pulse and the 3 Dragon Pits, these are pretty much standard. Pulse is really good because it allows you to get over monsters. Like, Vanity's Fiend is becoming more popular than ever, and you need some sort of spot removal to get it off the field. The 3 Dragon Pits is pretty standard. It's searchable via Summoner's Art, and it's our 1 high scale that's actually good in Magicians. Next up, we have the 2 Oath Dragon Magicians. Oath Dragon is probably my favorite in this entire deck, simply because all the recycling the card does, both on summon and in the Pendulum Zone, is really good. But the important thing to remember is, because we are playing the Magispectors, it also counts as a wind type spellcaster, which means you can basically use it along with your Magispectors as tribute fodder for all of your Magispector cards, which is really good. Then you have the 1 Yankee Magician and the 1 Noble Dragon Magician. These have always been one-ofs in my list. Yankee's really good. Yankee's really good because it can negate light effects and allows you to obviously make Rebellion. And then Noble Dragon is just Noble Dragon is the best tuner you can play in this deck, because with the hits the deck took, I just felt the Dark Engine wasn't really viable in the deck anymore. And tuning Magician, while good, requires you to play that engine in order to get it set up properly. Noble Dragon's a more consistent tuner in my opinion. Then we have the 1 Kieran. Kieran obviously went to 1 on the last ban list. However, it's way too good not to at least have it in here. I like having it in. I still like having it in here. I don't no longer run what's the name, Utopia Beyond the extra deck, just 'cause I don't have enough level 6s. But yeah, it's pretty. If you still feel like you want to run it in there, why not? Then of course the 3 Magical Abductors, probably the best Pendulum monster one of the best Pendulum support cards I think we have right now with all the banlist hits. This card is absolutely just nutty in this deck. It's a little bit better in the Draco Pal variant because you have better cards to search, but it's one of those cards you have to run at 3 because you want to see it as early as possible. Then for the other Magispects, we have the 2 Fox. Fox is really good because it allows you to, search your traps, and traps are some of the more important cards in the archetype. We have the 1 Cat. Cat is, I noticed a lot of the OCG Metal Foe lists just run the 1 Cat along with the 3 Bunbukus because it is a searchable low scale, and and most of the Magispectors that are good have 5 scales. So having a searchable of scale scale 2 is really nice, especially in a deck like this where 5 scales are just clumpy and cloggy. The 1 Toad just allows you to set more traps from the deck. This is a card I'm kind of considering maybe moving out of the deck just because but for now it's in here. It was a 1 of. And it's also nice. Toad's also nice because it's a level 4, which, with all the hits this deck has taken, you need more level 4 monsters in order to do a lot of your combos in your plays. Then the 3 Bambukus, as you guys probably, if you guys have been following me in the Metal Foes group, you understand I'm not an advocate of running 3 Bambukus to 1 Kirin now that Kirin is at 1. But I have a lot more targets for it, so like I run the 3 Bambukus along with the 1, along with the other in the lineup. But Bambuku's obviously really good. Searches your Kirin, searches any of these other cards, so yeah. Then we have the 1 Luster Pendulum. Because I don't have Tuning Magician in this list, but I really wanted to find a way to get Ignister online consistently. It was really good. Yes, you can make Ignister with Noble Dragon and Light Phoenix, but you do not want to have to do that, and Luster Pendulum kind of makes that a little bit easier on you. Then we have the for the spells, we have the 1 Odd Eyes Fusion. It's while I think the card is really, really good, it's also, there's times where, at least if you look at the way the format is going, especially with DDDs, this isn't going to resolve all the time, but definitely now being able to fusion for free when your opponent has established board is just nutty, and it's always going to be good. The 1 Pendulum Call, obviously this card's at 1, but you still need to run it. It's it's still an ungodly good card when you do see it, and Nirvana High Paladin can recycle it if you really, really want to. Then we have the 1 Upstart Goblin. Upstart's in here because of Abductor. You run an Upstart Goblin in every Abductor list because you need to get those spell counters. I'd run 3 if I could. The 2 Terraformings for our field spell engine, which I'll get to in a moment. The 2 Summoner's Arts. I've never been a big fan of running multiple Summoner's Arts, but with the hits this deck has taken, you need to have that high scale access as often as possible. And Summoner's Art and Dragon Pit is 2 counters on your Abductor, so it only leaves you 1 away. Worst comes to worst, you can always, there are ways to put, them back in the deck if you have Emerald or whatnot. Then for the field spells, I have 2 Skyrus, 2 Majesty Pegasus. Now this is the interesting one. Skyrus is really good, but in all the lists I've tested, I've never liked having multiple Skyrus in my hand, so I just don't want to play 3. So the theory is that I can play the field spell engine, use both field spells interchangeably, and it'll be a lot more consistent, and I'll get those counters up on Abductor a lot easier. Obviously, Skyrus is probably one of the best field spells, in the game right now, if not the best. And protects your scales from targeting, can pop face-up cards to search, really good. Pegasus is also a really good card in its own right because it can tribute 1 wind spellcaster type monster, special summon any level 4 lower Magic Spectre from your deck. So not only can you, basically it allows you to get your Bambuku in the rotation, and all your other Magic Spectres get their effects off. It's really good. Probably, I feel like whenever I did play Magic, when I was testing Magic Spectres, this card was absolutely a staple in the deck. Then for the traps, the 1 Tornado, I only think you need 1. A lot of the lists I've seen don't play a lot unless they're playing the Demise variant. And then the 2 Tempest. Tempest is obviously the better of the 2 cards. You could obviously just play 1/1 if you feel that way and find another spell card that you like, but I kind of liked this in testing so far. I really liked it. Now for the extra deck, I have the 2 copies of Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. Most of the reason I have the second one is because you can bring it out with the Absolute Dragon. And, having that, a lot of people will not expect that you play the second copy, so it's kind of nice to have it in the extra deck. The 1 Nirvana High Paladin. Now this card is kind of one of those cards in the extra deck that you can move out if you don't feel like it's easy to summon. However, it's not that hard to summon. You just need 1 of your level 7 synchros and any Pendulum Summon level 3 monster, which in this case would be Bunbuku most of the time. That's how you, or Cat in this case, that's how you're going to access it. And this card is just, if it hits the field, it is a bit of a win more card, but if you have it on the field and you can get its effect in, why not? The card is really good. The 1 Meteor Burst Dragon, obviously this card opens up your, Noble Dragon, it opens up your High Paladin, but there's a lot of cool combos you can do. If you have a Magic Spectre in the scale, for example, you can grab it from the scale with Meteor Burst and special summon it and it gets its effect. And it also turns off monster effects during the battle phase, which is pretty helpful in matchups like Burning Abyss and whatnot. The 1 Clearwing Synchro Dragon, I've always played the 1 Clearwing along with the 1 Meteor Burst in my Odd Eyes extra deck. It's typically a staple. Clearwing isn't as, Meteor Burst is probably the better card, but I like having Clearwing because there's some matchups the card is really good. Of course, the 1 Ignister, Ignister is probably, obviously is one of the better synchro monsters to come out over the past year or so. So if you can find a way to fit it into your extra deck, you play it. And then next for the Exceeds, we have the 1 Rebellion Dragon. Obviously, Rebellion Dragon is You need it to make your Odd Eyes Fusion for obvious reasons, but the other reason is I really like the card is that you can, when you do get it out and it does happen to blow up and go into the Pendulum Zone, you can basically, it not only does it nuke at Pendulum Zone and clear your Pendulum Zone, unlike, you know, cards like Nirvana High Paladin, it also allows you to set a scale from deck, much like Clydefort's Scout. It's a 1-card scale. That's one of the reasons I like this card over, you know, Raging Dragon, which is the cover card for Raging Tempest. I just like the fact that it clears scales. It's one of the things that's really convenient about it. And obviously it has its on-field effect that if you resolve it, you probably won that one. Then we have the 2 copies of Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon. I run the second one because there's times where I might yard it with, there might be times where I make the second one, but it's also good to yard with Odd Eyes Fusion. A lot of people don't think you play the second copy, so it's kind of nice to have it. The one Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon is the only other rank 7. I tested Big Eye and all the other ones. Flare Metal is the only one you need. A lot of decks like Mermails in particular fold if this card hits the field. They literally like... The struggle is real when this card hits the field because they need their effects to play around it. If they don't open, you know, ideally, they're going to take a lot of burn damage when this thing hits the field. Then the 2 Utopias, the 1 Utopia Lightning. Magicians have always had issues getting over beefy monsters because, you know, anything that's 2800 or over, Magicians are going to kind of struggle with it, and that's where these 2 cards come in. Then we have the 1 Castell. Castell's Castell's a staple. Castell's love. Castell's life. Don't need to talk too much about it. Then we have the 1 copy of Lightning Chidori. You can go into it, and it's pretty much better than Castell in a lot of ways, so I like having it in here. And lastly, we have the 1 Totem Bird. You make this with Cat and Bunbuku, and I found that, like, at least in testing, like, some of my Metal Foes lists, Totem Bird plus Kieran first turn is a pretty hard board to play around, so I kind of like just having it in the extra deck for that purpose. So anyway, guys, as always, like, thank you guys for watching the video today. Really appreciate it when you guys watch my videos. Tune in later next week. I'll have some more deck profiles for you guys. So anyways, as always, thank you guys for watching. Storm signing out.